to the Bill Seaver channel. And as you can tell, I just finished doing the Disney Channel or the Disney Junior tier list, and now we are moving over to Nick Jr. Now, this time I tried finding a tier list where I have seen most of the shows, and trust me, Nick Jr. was more of my thing. Like if I had to pick between PBS Kids, Nick Jr., and Disney, I'm probably picking between Nick Jr. and PBS Kids. Like those were my two go-to channels for when it came to like preschool shows. Barely ever watched Disney, and like I said before, like if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and watch it, and you'll see like there weren't really a whole lot of shows on there that I haven't really seen. But I went on the tier maker, and I tried finding one where I have seen a majority of the shows. I simmed through these shows, and I think a good majority of these shows I have seen. And I think most of these shows came out around the time I was watching Nick Jr. So, Nick Jr. was really, I think, when I was growing up, dude, Nick Jr. I think was in its heyday. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, I'm normal. I watched the OG Nickelodeon. Like I watched, SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents and all that. So I did watch, the main Nickelodeon shows that came on, and I watched Cartoon Network as well. But I can't speak. But I have seen. But in my heyday, when I watched Nick Jr., I have seen most of these shows we have. But before I get into ranking the show, Nick Jr., before I begin, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new here, comment down below. What was your favorite Nick Jr. shows? You can put what you would rank these shows in the comments. And let's get to it. So we're going to get through the rankings, of course. Of course, I had to change them because some asshole who did this before I did had to kind of ruin the whole thing, so I had to do it myself. So we have the changing the channel. So these were the trash shows, the garbage shows. We have the not my favorite tier. We have the shows that were fine. We have the shows that were good. And we have the shows that were elite. Now, when it comes to Nick Jr., the elite tier, that is like special Nick Jr. shows. There are some gems on here. I can promise you there are going to be a lot more elite shows than there was on the Disney Junior show. So, and the reason why I did Disney first was just because I didn't really watch Disney too much. Just decided, you know what, just get that out of the way before I begin, talking about Nick Jr. and PBS Kids. So, starting off this, we've got Pinky Dinky Doo. Now, Pinky Dinky Doo, it was not my favorite. I remember the show came on in the morning. So I had so when I was growing up, this was for a little while, but I had so my parents, they had there was the Nickelodeon where it had SpongeBob, pretty much all the older demographic shows like SpongeBob, Fairly Odd Parents, iCarly, all the Dan Schneider shows and all the Butch Hartman stuff. And then there was Nick Jr. that would just show, and then there was the channel that would only show Nick Jr. And this was during the Noggin era, so if you know what I'm talking about, good for you. But Pinky Dinky Doo, this came on in the morning when I was getting ready for school, and it wasn't really my favorite ever. I never was, jumping up and down. I was never excited because, Pinky Dinky Doo was on. Let's flip and go, boys. Pinky Dinky Doo is on. Let's do it. But yeah, this show, not my favorite. Next up, we got Team Umizoomi. I don't know why this picture doesn't show Bot, the green robot, on here. That was probably the best part of this show. For those of you who don't know, for those of you who watch Blue's Clues, which we'll get into Blue's Clues when we get there, I see that the new Blue's Clues isn't on here, which is totally fine. But Team Umizoomi, it was fine. But for those of you who didn't know, Joe, he ended up voicing the robot on this show. Team Umizoomi. I can't believe I'm looking this up. Team Umizoomi robot. You'll know what I'm looking at. Okay, this guy right here. This green android robot motherfucker. This guy right here. He looks. This was voiced by Donovan Patton, who played Joe on Blue's Clues. Probably the best character out of the big three because he was pretty much just a walking TV. Like he could show stuff on his screen, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this show kind of talked about math. Yeah, like superheroes talking about math. I know the girl, I think, changed into patterns, and then the blue guy there, he would turn into like shapes or whatever. Pretty interesting. It was fine. This came on around the time I wasn't really watching Nick Jr. Is Paw Patrol not on here? Paw Patrol's not on here. Okay, that's fine. Good. That's fine. Totally fine with me. I didn't watch Paw Patrol. I promise. Next up, we've got Jack's Big Music Show. We got the first Elite show on here. Jack's Big Music Show. This was an Elite show. First up, best theme song of all time. Like, I think that, you know how I said in my Disney Junior tier show, or tier list when I was talking about Bear in the Big Blue House, where I said that had the best goodbye song? This had the best theme song. I think this was just, the theme song to this was just so catchy. The intro was very catchy. It always started with like his mom, saying stuff like, "Jack, you don't have much time. We're gonna be late soon for, I don't know, softball lessons." And then it'd just be the music playing, and while his mom was yelling, it would be Jack, just walking kind of weirdly because he's a puppet. You're gonna notice that too with puppet shows. A lot of puppet shows are gonna be either good or elite. You're going to see that throughout these rankings. You're going to see I enjoy puppet shows. David Rudman, he created this show. He played a Jack. David Rudman, he works on The Muppets. He is the current performer for Cookie Monster and Baby Bear on Sesame Street. Has his own little company called Spiffies. And they've made a bunch of shows and productions for Nick Jr. They did, I think, the Bunnytown one for the Bunnytown show for Disney, and then they've done a few shows for PBS Kids as well, which is interesting. But Jack's Big Music Show, elite show, fantastico, like mwah, chef's kiss. It's a shame this show didn't last for very long. I think it only lasted like 2 seasons. My favorite character on here is probably the dog. I really like the dog. The dog had a really good personality. Next up, we got Wow Wow Wubbzy. Another show that had a catchy theme song. I wouldn't say it's elite. It's between good and fine for me. Like, this wasn't ever my favorite show on Nick Jr. Like, again, I never got excited when Wow Wow Wubbzy was on. My goodness. I can see the comments now. I know a lot of people enjoyed Wow Wow Wubbzy. He'll go on good. It was a good show, but it's very close to being in fine. I don't remember too much about the show. I know there was like a rabbit who was like really good at like inventing stuff. You had an inventor. You had a guy that was like really smart. I know in the later seasons they brought in a girl character. But Wubbzy, he was pretty much like SpongeBob. Like, because he had a kid-like personality. I think there were some people that found him annoying. Kind of reminds me of SpongeBob, and it kind of reminds me of real life. Next up, we got Yo Gabba Gabba, changing the channel. This show was garbage. Hated this show. It was creepy. It was terrifying. It was a confusing show to watch. One minute I'm seeing these people dressed up in these suits. By the way, I feel terrible for the people who had to dress up in these costumes. I'm pretty sure they had, fun fact, when they did Bear in the Big Blue House, they had according to Noel McNeil, who played the bear, he said that they always had to turn the thermostat like really. They had to, there was always freezing in the studio because they didn't want the guy in the bear suit to pass out. I wonder if they did that for Yo Gabba Gabba, like they turned or for like any scene with like guys who had to dress up in like these suits, or they had to like wear puppets, kind of like Big Bird, where it's like they had to turn the thermostat down, or the guy dressed up as the blue cat is gonna have a heat stroke. But the characters, okay, so you had a red cactus with chicken pox. You have a pink thing. I have no idea what she is. You have a green monster who has probably suffers with multi-personality. You have a robot who thinks he knows everything. And then you got a blue cat, which was probably my favorite character on the show, which isn't really saying much. And then you got a DJ who if I'm in a room with, I don't want to be alone with this guy. The only episode I liked from this show was the Jack Black episode. That was pretty solid. But besides that, it was so confusing. Like 1 minute I'm hearing songs where it's like party in my tummy, and then the next thing you know, there's an old guy teaching me how to draw a cat. I don't understand it. But yeah, Yo Gabba Gabba, changing the channel. I'm seeing what's on Cartoon Network when the show is on. Next up, we have is this the Fresh Beat Band? I have no clue what this show is. Is this the Fresh Beat Band? I think this is the Fresh Beat Band. It's not my favorite. I have no idea what that show is. I remember there was a show called the Fresh Beat Band. It wasn't my favorite. I wasn't really a huge fan of like music shows. I remember there was a guy on there named Twist who was just absolutely horrible. Horrible character. He was pretty much there for comedy. Like he was pretty much the I don't know what it's called, the wow, I'm losing my mind. Yeah, he was pretty much there for comedy, and it just wasn't good. The show just wasn't my thing. Next up, we got Bubble Guppies Elite. Some people would say it's good. Some people say they don't like it. I personally thought it was elite. Like this show came out around the time where I kind of stopped watching Nick Jr. for a while, but this show I continued to watch it. Like I would go on the Nick Jr. website, and there would be like sometimes they'd have like full episodes of like any of the news shows that were going on. They always had like 2 episodes of Bubble Guppies. I would watch them. I was happy. I had a few DVDs. I saw Bubble Guppies anytime Bubble Guppies was on, I would watch it. I got very sad. I was really sad when they canceled it back in 2016. They revived it in 2019. They brought in a new character named Zuli. Basically, for those of you who've never seen it, you got Molly, you got Gil, Gobi, Dima, Una, Nani, and then the new gal, my girl Zuli, joining in the fun. And then you got Mr. Grouper, which, okay. And pretty much, this show is cool. Like the first 4 seasons, it was kind of like sketch comedy. And then the revived series, like the new seasons, it's pretty much just like, okay, so in the old seasons, like the popular, there was like different, it was pretty much the same episode. Like you've seen, like, let's say Molly and Gil, for example, they see a robot, and a guy inventing a robot, and then that's pretty much the topic, is just robots. And then so they sing a song about it. There's the store segment. You had the Molly and Gil where it was just like Molly and Gil, and like Gil's a screw up. And then you had outdoor segments, the dance segment. Like I remember like the skits and the segments in the show from top to bottom. First 4 seasons were elite. I watched a little bit of season 5, a little bit of the revival. I'm not gonna lie, I've always had a soft spot for this show, and I still do. Next up, we got Wonder Pets. It was fine. But yeah, Bubble Guppy's elite. I will. You tell me the show is terrible. Link me your PO address. I'm ready to fight you. Wonder Pets. I know a lot of people enjoyed Wonder Pets. I didn't care too much for it. A lot of people find this show very iconic. Like when you think Nick Jr., you think of Wonder Pets. It was okay. It was okay. I'll say it by that. But it's a good show. It's not. I wouldn't put it in fine. I'd just put it in good because it's very nostalgic. You know. Next up we got Lazy Town. Not my favorite. Actually, you know what? I'll put it in fine. I enjoyed the villain from this show was probably my favorite thing from this, and then you had like Sporticus, who was like the superhero that was like really big into sports. So basically, you have like this pink girl, a girl with the pink wig. She's pretty much Molly from Bubble Guppies, but in real life. Even though this show came out like way before Bubble Guppies did. But basically, like she moves into town. Obviously, it's called Lazy Town. Everybody's just is lazy. Like nobody goes outside, nobody touches grass. They're probably sitting inside, playing Fortnite for 24 hours straight, drinking Red Bull, and pulling all-nighters. No, I'm just kidding with you. That's not what happened. But pretty much, she moves in. She pretty much and then you got the Sporticus, who's like the superhero. He motivates people, the kids, to like exercise and all that cool stuff. I remember there was a baseball episode. That was the only episode I enjoyed. It was okay. The Rodney Ratburn's the villain. That's my Rip Rodney Ratburn. Next up, we got Blue's Clues. I mean, come on. It's going to go right there. Actually, I'm going to move Bubble Guppies. I'm going to put it in front of Jack's Big Music Show. Blue's Clues. I mean, come on. I have not met a single soul who said that they didn't enjoy Blue's Clues. I love this show. I love Blue's Clues. The original Blue's Clues. Not the new show. The OG Blue's Clues. With Steve and Joe. Now, unfortunately, I was born in 2004. So when I was growing up, Blue's Clues wasn't really airing on Nick Jr. anymore, and at one point they stopped the Nickelodeon. The main Nickelodeon channel stopped airing Blue's Clues. That is until the new thing came out, but the new Blue's Clues came out with Josh, but you had Steve. Pretty much kind of like Bubble Guppies. It was pretty much the same thing every episode. And it was fucking awesome. This show taught me how to draw. This show taught me, a bunch of different stuff. It taught a bunch of kids different stuff. This show, it was just so iconic. Like it's probably one of the most iconic preschool shows of all time. Steve was amazing. Joe was all right. Like I said before, I was born in 2004, so Steve was gone by the time Joe was the host at the time. I actually didn't care too much for Joe. I know a lot of people kind of tuned out of Blue's Clues when Steve left, and then Steve, he's coming back now, talking about interviews, talking about what he did after Blue's Clues, how he got the role as Steve from Blue's Clues, which is really interesting. But yeah, you should check that out sometime. If you guys want me to, I can make a video on Steve Burns. Next up, we got another elite show, another iconic show. It's the Backyardigans. Put them in, they're going in elite right next to Jack's Big Music Show. Another show that had music. A lot of people enjoyed Backyardigans, and I enjoyed the show. In fact, the episode where they're in Hawaii, where Unika and Tasha are like volcano sisters, that's actually one of my all-time favorite Backyardigans episodes. But yeah, you had Pablo, my boy. You had Tyrone, I think was his name. You had Uniqua, you had Tasha and Austin, I think he was a kangaroo. Tasha, I think, was well, she was a hippo, and then I think she was a Uniqua was the ladybug, but she was a pink ladybug. She wasn't like ladybugs you see now where it's like they're red, but she was a pink ladybug. But the show, it was like, I mean, very creative. Like I said, the songs were catchy. This it was a really good show. I really don't know what to say about this. The first 2 seasons were good, but then after that I kind of tuned out of Backyardigans. But there were a lot of iconic episodes from this show. I liked the cowboy episodes. I remember there's an episode where it's like Soccer Monster, where Pablo's like a soccer monster, and then Tyrone's like a detective. And yeah, that's another one of my favorite episodes. Backyardigans, really good show. In fact, there were a lot of people who worked on Backyardigans that went on to work on Bubble Guppies. This is the Noggin show. I remember. They were fine. The moose and the bird, they were fine. Next up, we got Dora. Not my favorite. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm changing the channel whenever Dora came on. Next up, we have her cousin Diego, Elite. Oh God, I think we're right. I was originally gonna keep my limit to 5 because there's a lot of like really elite shows that I want to put on here. Screw it. Yeah, you know what? We'll put it to 7. We'll get like 7 shows because I see a lot of shows on here that are elite. Dora, I mean, you know what? My girl Dora, she was fine. Dora was fine. Don't make fun of me, okay? The later seasons of Dora was when it started to get like really girly. But the first few seasons, again, when you think preschool shows, when you think Nick Jr., Dora's probably one of the first ones that come to mind. Like, it was one of the original Nick Jr. shows, I believe. I know Dora and Blue's Clues were the big two for a while. It was kind of like SpongeBob and Fairly Odd Parents on the OG Nickelodeon. Like, I don't know why I said OG, but Dora was great. Diego was great too. I found him a little bit better because, again, it was an animal show. Who doesn't enjoy animal shows? Peppa Pig, changing the channel. There's like 4-hour-long compilations of Peppa Pig episodes. Who has the time to sit through 4 fucking hours of Peppa Pig? The Brits, I'm pretty sure, are ashamed to be from the same place that Peppa Pig is from, and she keeps insulting her dad. He keeps calling her dad fat. Peppa Pig teaches kids how to fat shame people. Next up, we have Mrs. Spider's Sunny Patch Friends. Changing the channel. Horrifying. Animation was absolutely horrifying. Max and Ruby, they're elite. Though I hate it. Actually, no, they're going in good. They're close to elite, but I'm not going to put them there quite yet. Just, I thought Ruby was kind of annoying. Like she was just so bossy. It's like, I understand she was like the bossy big sister, and she always had this tone in her voice to make the audience feel stupid whenever she was talking to Max. It's like, dude, it's like, stop. It's like I'm losing brain cells. I mean, I'll put it in good because there were some good episodes from this show. It had a good run. How long did this show last? The stuff I look up on the internet. Max and Ruby aired from 2002. I'm gonna guess until 2019. This show went. What? This show lasted until 2019 or 2018. Are you kidding me? Man, are you serious? 2002. That's a typo, correct? 2002 to 2019. What? What? Really? This show went on the air for a very long time. Okay. All right. But yeah, Max and Ruby was good. Franklin, it was fine. Olivia, where's the remote? You can tell I'm not really a huge fan of any of the pig shows. Little Bear, Elite. This was one of the first Nick Jr. shows, I think. That it came out around the time Blue's Clues did. But yeah, this was one of the original Nick Jr. shows. Nihao Kailan, this was pretty much the... I think this show taught Chinese. Changing the channel. That was probably one of the few things I enjoyed about Dora and Diego is that they taught Spanish. But Diego also taught people about animals, which is a lot cooler. Even though they would always look at you, they would give you death glares in the middle of trying to saying a sentence. Like, who is it? And then they wait for like 10 seconds. Most uncomforting moments of my life. Little Bill, I would put it in Elite if it wasn't made by Bill Cosby. But it was good. Is this Gullah Gullah Island? Okay, so this is actually the only show on here I have not seen. I'll put it in. It's not my favorite. Same with the other pig show. Man, Nick Jr. really enjoys their pig shows, huh? Next up, we've got Oswald. Okay, so we have 6. I said we had 7. We could put 7 on here. Oswald's going to be that 7th show. This show, so underrated. Very underrated show. Yeah, Oswald was kind of like an octopus, and he had this friend that was like a penguin and like a flower. Very very nice show, very good show, and he had a bowler's hat, which gives him like 10 cool points. Is this it's something with like Mr. Beast. I don't remember the name of the show. 90s shows. I don't know what it was called. I don't know why. Oh, I didn't know Law and Order was on Nick Jr. Okay. Nick Jr. shows. What was this show called? No, I want Nick Jr. No, this is what I'm looking for. Shows on Nick Jr. No. This isn't what I'm looking for. Images, maybe. What was the show called? Oh, it's not even on here. I don't know what the show's called. Bear with me. I'll put it in fine. Upside Down Show, not my favorite. And then this is Ubi, or like hand puppets. Not my favorite. And that's what I'm going to do for my Nick Jr. show tier list. In the Elite tier, we have Blue's Clues, Bubble Guppies, Jack the Book Music Show, Backyardigans, Diego, Little Bear, and Oswald. In Good, you have Wawa Wubsy, Wonder Pets, Max and Ruby, Little Bill. In Fine, you have Team Umizoomi. My phone keeps going off. Little Lazy Town, the Noggin Show with the Moose, Dora, Franklin, and the Turtle. The show is kind of like Arthur, but I think Arthur's better. I don't know what this show's called. It's like Mr. Beast. Maggie's Ferocious Beast. That's what it was called. Maggie's Ferocious Beast. The show was good. Not my favorite. We have Pinky Dinky Doo. I think this is the Fresh Beat Band. I could be wrong. Either way, I'm gonna call them the Fresh Beat Band. Gullah Gullah Island. The show came out like way before my time. I don't know what the show's called. the other pig show, Upside Down Show, Ubi, and then changing the channel, you have Yo Gabba Gabba, Peppa Pig, Miss Spider Sunny Patch Friends, Olivia, and Nihao Kailand. Do you agree with me?